What are some of the outcomes business leaders and owners can expect if they build a mission, create a culture, buy into inbound marketing, and start to put resources behind content, and whether it's creation and distribution of content? Can you talk about the kind of time frame to see a return, some of the impacts that they may see, how it really could change and drive their business forward?
Mm-hmm. So generally, whenever you see a business who's successful with content marketing initiatives, it's usually really slow in the beginning, and then it starts to take off. And then once it catches, once you start getting traffic, you start getting visibility with things that you're creating. That's why it's like a marathon and not a sprint. It can be really hard to do that training up front. And a lot of times, that's why I said website authority is probably one of the most important things you can do. If you don't have high website authority, it's going to take you much longer to get traffic and visibility. So I think the first thing, if you're somebody who right out the gate, if you know you want to do this and start trying to figure out what can I do to acquire inbound links, you can maybe reach out to people in your network, find a way to try to get links back to your site. Guest blogging on other websites is probably the best way to do it. And if you can get like a mention on like a big website that has a higher authority, maybe it's something like it's a news outlet, it might take you time to figure out how to get in there, but really try to build your website authority up with inbound links. Now, once you start doing that, that's why I recommend creating one piece of premium content first and focusing on trying to promote and get that out there so that you can be building other content and you have something that you could start promoting. So I would say if you started focusing on creating a piece of content, maybe that first premium piece of content in tandem, also working on building inbound links, I mean, you could start seeing some success for that after 3 to 6 months. Like I would say within 3 months, you might see an initial shift, but you want to be hungry. You want to get out there and find any way possible to promote that and get attention to it. And in the near term, you'll start seeing the progression where it gets bigger and bigger over time, and then you're just going to keep adding on to it. That's why it's just important to think about the journey so that you're not only building, but you're also allowing for the experience. So that's why it's people who don't do that, maybe they are successful with getting traffic, but then the traffic doesn't lead to conversions or people downloading or giving you their information on their site. So it's more than just getting traffic. It is about the experience and making sure that you're not trying to be too salesy with having somebody purchase or give you their information, but you're making it so that they can easily give you their information, whether it's like maybe having a form that follows you on the page that's not distracting the experience. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I would generally say anywhere from like 3 to 6 months, you can see an initial traction. And then usually after the first year, if you start creating content, you'll start seeing results.
Excellent. What about kind of content overload? I mean, we're all busy. We're all just slammed with messages all the time. What is your recommendation for companies and business leaders to think about their strategy and their content marketing in a way that helps them kind of cut through that and rise to the top, or at least maybe not to the top, but at least rise to the top of the attention of their target audience?
Yeah. So the number one thing, and this really helps executive teams get excited about the investment, right? Generally people, whenever you ask them for something, the bigger the ask, the more work that's going to go into it. They might not want to try it out because the experiment could just take too much work and time, right? Like if we were to say, hey, let's do an experiment, we're going to create an ebook like that. That's not necessarily the best way to go about it, as much as I like to try to approach a situation of like, let's think of our content marketing plan like a puzzle, right? There's 52 weeks in a year. Let's say you were to create a blog post every single week. You have a 52-piece puzzle that you're putting together. Can you use these pieces to create a bigger picture? Maybe there's 10 blog posts that you're going to write over the course of a couple of months, and you can use that content and strategically repurpose it into a specific packaged offer. So what I would say is you have 52 weeks in a year. If you're already blogging right now, think about what you could be doing of using those blogs as puzzle pieces to build packaged offers so that you're being as efficient with your time as possible. So from the strategy side, you're not saying, hey, we're going to spend all our time and resources that's going to take us weeks to create this. It's like, no, we're going to start small. We're going to get some quick wins by creating some blog content that's going to be helpful, and we're going to recycle this blog content to create packaged offers. So it's a lot more exciting and manageable for people as opposed to them thinking they have to create a 50-page resource from scratch.
Gotcha. Excellent. Great ideas. Well, just a couple final things real quick, Justin. What do you see on the horizons in terms of technology changing? I hear a lot about things like artificial intelligence and lots of changes coming in marketing. And how do you see kind of the next, I wouldn't say 5 years, it's hard to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, much less 5 years. What do you see kind of on the horizon for content marketing and things that people should be aware of?
Yeah, so I think what's happened even in the past decade is things have gotten way more specific. Now, like with social media and having people having their own profiles, that you went from mass media where you're sending a message out to everybody, where you're trying to get so targeted that you're trying to advertise to a specific individual. So I think personalization is going to just keep getting more important. You know, having something like smart content where, like, if somebody's already engaged with you, maybe they downloaded something, you're essentially serving them content. So if they come back to your site, they're getting an experience that's personalized to them, not just like the standard content that exists on a website. So I think personalization is one. I would say that that bots are going to be another thing that I'm curious to see what happens with, where you essentially have, you can create some sort of engaging resource that helps this person identify what they're looking for or where they need to be connected to. And I think bots are not only going to help with serving content and serving like a good experience, but it's actually, I think it's going to make organizations a lot more efficient, because they won't have to have a team of people managing this process. They would essentially have a team of people creating a process that can help manage their audience. So I would say personalization and bots are going to be some big things to come out in like the next couple of years.
Excellent. I know in our book we talked to some thought leaders and asked that same question. And the big one that came back was there's going to be a lot of changes in technology, and we can't always predict them. But what we do know is that it will become very personalized. We know that'll be the outcome, right? It'll be closer to that promise of kind of one-to-one marketing and one-to-one selling. That's where the technology is going to be taking us. So very interesting. Well, Justin, thanks for today. Great insights on content. And Justin, author of Inbound Content. Check it out on barnesandnoble.com. And I'm Todd Hockenberry with the book Inbound Organization. Thanks.
Thanks so much, guys.